And all the scientific literature that we see out of universities, that's based on peer review, the whole of our science. If it's good enough for scientists, I think it's good enough for farmers. Look at medicine. That's based on peer review. Medical societies, they peer review each other. Law in the legal profession does exactly the same. Peer review is regarded as the highest form of review by the highest professions.
So Certified Naturally Grown was founded by farmers about 10, 11 years ago when the National Organic Program took effect in the United States. That was a program of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which once it was implemented, required that farmers who wanted to describe their farms or their produce or their farm products as organic needed to go through a third-party certification process. And many farmers felt that that new program wasn't a good fit for them, but they were very much committed to organic practices, and they wanted a way to convey their values to customers and to get credit for the work they did to produce food without synthetic chemicals and GMOs. And so they founded Certified Naturally Grown as an alternative way to guarantee the quality of their products for their customers and to highlight their practices. People found it very interesting that farmers were choosing not to participate in the National Organic Program. Why was this, and what was CNG all about? And through this attention, farmers from around the country were thinking, that's me, that I want to be a part of that organization. We rely very much on the internet to document and to administer the program. Most farmers, they'll go to our website and fill out an application online, which reduces the paperwork and makes it much more efficient. It also means that it's harder for some farms to participate if they don't have easy access to the internet, and we do send out paper applications in that case. The advantage of having this approach is it's very easy for us to be very transparent about who's participating, what requirements have been met, and when all of the certification documents are online on our website, very easy to access for each farmer. We have a map of everyone who's participating. It's very easy if you just discovered, wow, there's this program, Certified Naturally Grown, who's participating near me? Where's my closest farmer? You can just type in your zip code and find out very quickly who's within 50 miles. And that's great for the farmers too, to find one another. It makes it much easier. All the inspection reports are on each farm's profile, and the information they submitted when they applied. So there's a high level of transparency. Another challenge we have is just that there's not as much awareness of what is certified naturally grown. We don't have the same level of recognition as the National Organic Program because we're relatively new, I guess, and we don't have a big advertising budget. We grow because farmers talk about us to their customers and to other farmers. It's very much a grassroots word-of-mouth expansion. What is challenging is that we do end up with two different systems, one for the larger third-party certified farms and one for the small-scale farmers who participate in our program, and there's definitely some overlap, and I think that's a good thing. But there can be some tension, and I think that's something we're working on now, is trying to build the sense that we're all part of the same movement and that we need each other, that the PGS program is a complement to the third-party system. And right now there's a lot of passion for what we're doing, and I think that's great.
PGS in India is diverse. Yeah, so you may call it the PGS Organic Council, and you would assume that there's just one system that works across the country. Yes, in a sense, yes, because we framed a system which has a pledge. There is a summary of the national organic standards, and we have a appraisal form which we all go through and which we use to, the farmers use it to visit each other's farms and to appraise each other's farms. The fantastic thing is that that's only the beginning. The innovation has happened beyond that on an everyday basis in different contexts. You want to do it in the state of Uttar Pradesh, you might as well translate it into Hindi. Because that's the language. Nobody's going to understand you in English. You want to do it in Tamil Nadu, you translate it into Tamil. The interesting thing in Tamil Nadu is we are two groups and we both have translated into Tamil in our own local context. So it's not only one language in one state. Because in a mountain system, I see things differently. In the plains, it's a rice belt. The delta area, you see things completely differently. And so, how do you define, how do you look at soil, how do you look at water, how do you look at your ecosystem is very different. And so for us, it has been a huge, actually it's an energizing moment when you see that, people come forward and translate the entire thing. And the way they translate it, it's not a literal translation. The translation explains the context behind the whole process, and that's very interesting. And in India, very importantly, we have constantly looked at keeping the market at a local level, because for us, we have a huge country and we have a huge market available, and so it is a challenge, but it is extremely necessary that the best food is available in our local area, to our local people, not to be driven 2,000 kilometers away in our own country even, but just in our local market. That people appreciate the rice, the vegetables, the honey, and many other things that come out from these areas. After 2006, constantly the effort of this group was to engage with the government and to talk to them and say, here we met twice a year, every time, can you come, can you join in, can you hear, and can you give us ideas on how to go forward? And so that was an interesting phase. The result was that in 2011, the government also started a PGS program. And that for us was a huge step forward, because all these years, the Ministry of Commerce ran the certification system, the effort to call everybody, to call people organic, you had to go through this entire certification process. And so when the Ministry of Agriculture said that they would provide a window through PGS, I think it brought a certain sense of legality to what we had been doing all these years. Because when you sold products in the shop, people would ask, are you recognized by the government? You say, yeah, sort of, But then, when the government came up with a notification where they started a PGS program, it gave us that much more confidence to be able to talk to consumers and say, yes, even the government is following the same thing.
I come from South Africa, and there's a PGS that we've been documenting for the past 4 or 5 years. That has been going on, and it was is based in a market system. It evolved from the market. It is not a producer-driven PGS project. And this is very useful in the sense that where consumers are expressing an interest in organic produce, where organic produce is not available and consumers are looking for this product, it is possible to develop systems from the market side of the operation. And this market-driven PGS has become a very successful economic model that is being adapted and copied and used around South Africa. And basically that is all I really have to say about this. That this is a very useful tool from any perspective. It is not something that is driven from the certification component. You can use it in multiple senses. I hope that you'll be able to engage with this model as something you can use in your different communities around the world.
Two organic sector can be divided into sub-sectors. The first one is what we call the conventional organic, because it has just copied the conventional and industrialized sector, and we call it business as usual. Big supermarkets that are just buying many tons and tons and tons of the same tomato Daniela. So if you want to enter these markets, you have to produce a very homogeneous product, and that's not feasible for organic farmers that want to work in a small scale, or that can only work in a small scale with diversified products. And the other subsector is the organic farming system, but that cannot be certified because we can't access the market, we can't pay the certification process, or we don't want to enter this business as usual. We are having consumers more and more committed to the food sovereignty issues and the organic and sustainable issues, and we have young people that, thanks to this commitment in these processes, are going back to farming.
Governments in Latin America only look to agro-export. They have the vision like this. And how to convince them to have also a look, to turn their neck, to develop organic products for domestic markets. Which are the options for small producers that cannot export, that cannot pay the third-party certification and need money to live? How to identify their products as organic in the local, regional and national markets? How to differentiate them from the conventional products in the markets they access or they want to access? That PGS is not only a cost user, it's much more than that. It's an important tool for develop internal market and building social capital.